Hey, this is Mr. Mitchell. Today's video is going to be about Pluto and some other moons in our solar system. Now, Pluto's not a moon, but they kind of seem to fit together with what I had to put together. Pluto was discovered in 1930 and, of course, was once considered a planet. But it's smaller than our moon, and its mass is 0.3% of the Earth's mass. So this is not anything near like the other gas giants that are out there. In fact, it's not a gas giant. It is made of ice, they think. But anyway, no spacecraft has ever passed close to Pluto. So there is a lot that is not known about this distant dwarf planet. But I'm making this video in late May of 2015, and as I speak, there is a spacecraft that is heading toward Pluto, unmanned, of course, but throughout the next few weeks, probably before you end up watching this, you'll have a lot more photographs of Pluto. And even this one, you can kind of tell just by looking, is a digital image of what people think Pluto might look like. So hopefully you'll be able to see some pictures in class other than this one that's more realistic. Pluto does have a moon, and its moon is named, looks like Charon, and it's actually about half the diameter of Pluto, and that's kind of unusual that you have a moon that's about half the diameter of its planet. And it is also not a gas giant. This is made of ice and rock, they think. But anyway, these have sometimes been referred to as a double planet. They end up facing each other, and they revolve around each other. It's not just the moon revolving around Pluto. It's kind of like they spin around in tandem, I guess you might say, which is kind of very unusual. And hopefully that spacecraft which is going to get there will have a few more answers than we currently have. But that's kind of unusual that they always keep the same sides and that they face each other and that they are revolving together. Pluto's orbit is distinctly different than all the other planets. Now look here, you can see the very inner planets are before Mars here. You got Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, all have a similar orbit around the sun. But look at Pluto's. Pluto's is just remarkably different. And actually, there are times when Pluto is closer to the sun than Neptune is. But then there are times, probably way out here, where it's far, far away. There is a unit in space called AUs, which is kind of a astronomical unit, I believe it is, and it goes way out. I think there's 20 AU difference between the inside tract than the outside tract, but it is just you can kind of tell how it's just so different from the other planets, and why even people who are not astronomers would think this is just not like the other things that we are calling planets. Oh, let's see, checking my notes to see if there's anything different. And I believe I have everything talked about with Pluto. So hopefully we'll discover a little more on Pluto in the months to come. Now let's talk about moons. Moons. Here's Mercury. How many moons does Mercury have? 0. How many moons does Venus have? 0 also. You can kind of see a pattern. You know, we have the 4 inner planets that are rocky planets and the 4 outer planets, which are gas planets. You can see so far there aren't that many moons on these inner planets. You know, the Earth has 1 planet. Oh, thumbs up, Batman says. Maybe not.
The Earth has 1 planet?
Did I say that 1 planet?
Yes, you did.
I was wrong. The Earth has 1 moon and 1 planet also, but thumbs up for my son to correcting me on that one. What about the red planet, Mars? Mars has 2 moons. Phobos and Deimos are the moons for Mars, and I actually have some notes about these. Phobos and Deimos are not round. They do not have a perfect or they are not like the Earth or Mars or even our moon where that they're round. They actually have an asteroid type shape. You may remember that asteroids have an irregular shape. So it is likely that these are two asteroids that just got caught up in Mars's orbits. Okay, now let's talk about the ones that really have some systems of moons. How many do you think Jupiter has? 67, we think, maybe even more. You can see there's a chart here, and there's no way you can see that from where you are, that has 60 something plus. In fact, I think this is actually 70 here. I think there's kind of a little bit of uncertainty about how many moons there actually are, but we actually have some things to talk about here as far as the moons of Jupiter. Jupiter has, of these 60 something moons, has 4 large ones and dozens and dozens and dozens of smaller ones. Galileo actually discovered these 4 large ones whenever he started looking in higher powered telescopes way back in the 1600s. Now, I don't know if you can read these, but there are Callisto, there's Io, there's Europa, and there's Ganymede. And we're actually going to talk a little bit about Europa and Ganymede. Europa has frozen ocean water. Yes, Europa appears to have water underneath the ice here. And yes, if scientists believe that if there is if there is life in this solar system that's not on Earth, it just might be on Europa. And I was looking at something on the internet just recently about how NASA is wanting to send a craft there to break through the ice, maybe put some kind of submarine type something there that's run by, it wouldn't be by humans, but some kind of craft underneath the ocean there to look for some kind of evidence of life. And I think some people in NASA are kind of excited about that possibility. Ganymede here is a little bit different. Wow, these 4 moons just look completely different. But anyway, Ganymede here is the largest moon in our solar system, larger than our moon. It's even larger than the planet Mercury. So, that's a little bit about Jupiter's moons. Now, you know Jupiter is the absolute largest planet in our solar system. The second largest planet is going to be Saturn. So, yes, Saturn has a lot of moons also. It's 53 moons. And here is a list of all those moons there. Now, some of these moons actually kind of get caught up in the rings, if I am thinking correctly. But the rings, of course, are just made of ice. The largest moon of Saturn's is Titan, an appropriate name. But anyway, Titan, and you can even see out here this little layer of blue. Titan has an atmosphere, and the atmosphere is 95% nitrogen. Now, our atmosphere is like 70-something% nitrogen. They don't think there's any oxygen there, but they do kind of find that interesting, and probably if given a chance to land something on Titan, probably would be able to, or would want to, just because of that atmosphere there. What about Uranus, the blue planet that spins on its side? They have 27 of them. Now, Uranus's moons are named for Shakespearean characters, oddly enough, instead of characters of mythology. So you can see there's a moon named Miranda, a moon named Ariel, Oberon, and so on. Here are 5 of the larger moons at Uranus. Now, something else interesting about these moons is they are blacker than asphalt, and I believe these right here are just lightened up so we can see them. But Uranus's moons are black. Now, mentioned here the Hubble telescope. The Hubble telescope has found some other moons that I think have not been named yet. So in future references to Uranus's moons, you'll probably see that total bumped up a little bit more. Some of their moons are very, very close together. Now, Uranus is a long way out from us, But from what it looks like, scientists are wondering why these moons don't bump into each other, why they don't have big collisions out there. So that's a kind of a bit of uncertainty in the scientific community. And finally, there is Neptune. Neptune has one moon that is far and away the biggest moon. They have 13 moons, but the biggest moon is going to be Triton. Triton you can kind of see here, and there's kind of a little bit of a glimpse of it right there, and you can see some of the other moons of Neptune right there. Triton actually spins opposite of the direction that Neptune spins, which is something that you just don't see on the large moons of the solar system. And yeah, it's the only large moon in the solar system that does that. And as a result of the way it's spinning, scientists think that it is actually spinning closer and closer to Neptune. And another thing about Neptune's moons is they are characteristically dark, just like Uranus's. Now, I know that they have some lighter objects here, but from what I understand, they're supposed to be dark moons on Neptune. Well, I hope you've learned a little bit about Pluto and about the moons from various planets in our solar system.